Viola Davis won an Emmy, and in her speech, she talked about how this was going to pave a way and open doors for black people. Where did we hear this before? Oh, yeah, 2002 in the Oscars when Halle Berry said it. And what happened after 2002? The image of the black woman took a total decline into the debauchery that we see right now. So many of the Negroes who think that this is an accomplishment, no, it's not an accomplishment. Here we have the first black woman who wins an Emmy, and what role does she win for? And because many of these Negroes do not have any critical thinking skills, they don't process that point. Look at the image that this Afro American woman won for playing a cold, evil black woman who participates in all sorts of debaucherous behavior. No different than the role that Halle Berry won an Oscar for, a cold, deliberate woman who has no feelings and no regards for anyone. Same role, same type of story, and fits the same narrative of these white liberals. These same white liberals are the puppet masters behind everything, and many of these Negroes, all they were doing is basking in the accomplishment and not looking at the bigger picture. And when you look at the bigger picture, you see that there are no doors that were open, just like in 2002 when Halle Berry said that the Oscar win was going to open up so many doors for black women. As we see, most of the roles that have come since then have been the exact same roles. The same roles that fit the narrative of this white liberal. And these roles usually include maids, mammies, or your black Jezebels. They're usually repackaged in brand new boxes, but it's the exact same thing all the time. So I don't see how Viola Davis winning an Emmy is going to open doors when you have shows like Scandal on the air, and you have shows like How to Get Away with Being a Minstrel on the air, and Empire. So how does that change anything? If anything, all it's showing me is that the narrative of this white liberal is continuing to perpetuate the exact same stereotypes regarding this Afro-American Negro. And because they continue to perpetuate these stereotypes, all that's happening is this Negro is being rewarded for playing his role in the white liberals' narrative. That's all we're seeing in this whole event. I mean, it's not like we're seeing black people winning awards for playing in genres like fantasy or science fiction or comedy. For me, that's diversity. What we saw at that Emmys was basically the same old thing all the time, repackaged. And in some ways, you could say it's just a consolation prize because the Academy got called on its own BS for what they did at the Oscars. What they did at the Oscars in 2015, which this Negro pretty much glosses over, is that they didn't nominate any black movies, and they showed their contempt for black people in that partially. And I'd say that's partially because many of the films these Afro-American filmmakers made, they weren't very unique or they weren't very special. But these guys, because they felt a sense of white guilt, decide we're going to start nominating these Negro actors, and we'll have one of them win as a consolation prize. And because it's a consolation prize, many of these Negroes think that they have accomplished something, when at the end of the day, they really haven't accomplished anything. If you look at many of the Afro-American images in American media these days, many of them are the worst known to man. I mean, I haven't seen stereotypes perpetuated this badly since the 1970s and the 1930s. These are the type of images we have of African Americans out there. And this is what Hollywood wants to reward people for portraying. I mean, I look at the roles that people are being nominated for, and that to me says more about anything regarding these Emmys. And in anything, you have Anthony Anderson nominated for playing a scared brother. You have Viola Davis nominated for playing a cold, calculating evil woman. You have Taraji P. Henson nominated for playing a hood rat. What type of complexity and depth is there in that? What type of uniqueness is there in that? All these are the exact same roles and stereotypes that people have been perpetuating about your Afro-American Negro for the last hundred or so years. So what's new and unique about that? What's special about that? What's creative about that? What's outside of the box regarding those images of African Americans that we can celebrate? I don't see anything worth celebrating here. When she said that it's going to open doors, I already know what it's going to open doors to: a Pandora's box of dysfunction and chaos. That's what we got in 2002 when Halle Berry won the Oscar. We got a Pandora's box open then, and the black woman's image took a slide as the black female continued to participate in more and more degrading roles and presenting more and more degrading images of herself. And the saddest part is we have not white people producing these images, but African Americans like your Shonda Rhimes producing these images, and people like your Lee Daniels producing these images of African Americans, showing the complete perversion and debauchery that would only sate the egos of your white liberals, because this is what they really want to see your Afro American Negro represented as: a Jezebel, a big mouth, bad attitude hood rat, or a cold, calculating, evil woman who, represents the most negative image of your Afro American woman. There is no balance when it comes down to these images of Afro American women or even Afro American men, like your Anthony Anderson, who's playing a scared brother, too afraid to even enjoy his own success, too afraid of anything, just playing a scared brother. And these images are not balanced. They're not balanced at all. We're not getting any contrast. We're not getting any sort of, shades in between. And the sad part is many of these Negroes have no critical thinking skills, so they can't see when you have just been pimp smacked by these liberals in Hollywood. I mean, I look at how these liberals have been pimp smacking this Negro backwards and forwards with their pinky ring and a glove on and not leaving a single mark. And many of these Negroes just can't wake up and see what's going on here. They're so busy, desperate for their own image, they'll make a movie like Straight Outta Compton #1 at the box office for 2 weeks in a row, make it $100 million blockbuster, then go out and watch another minstrel show, The Perfect Man, and make that the #1 movie in America, and think they've accomplished something. Well, they don't even see that they've set their own image back about 100 and some odd years by continuing to support the same dysfunctional nonsense that Hollywood produces and continuing to laud it and praise it. And they don't see what they're doing to themselves. This Afro-American Negro, for the most part, is, completely clueless when he comes to his own image. And he'll sit there and say, this is his accomplishment. Oh, a black woman won an Emmy. Well, a black woman won an Oscar. And where did that get the image of the black woman? What direction did that take it in? You have to look at it, a little bit more critically. If your black woman is winning for playing roles that breathe new life into old stereotypes, then how does that improve the image of black people? I mean, I notice a pattern here with this liberal when it comes down to giving awards to African Americans. Every role that this liberal gives an African American an award for usually degrades this Afro-American Negro in some way, shape, or form. But he sits there and lauds it and praises it as some sort of accomplishment. And I could look at that Emmys and I just saw another consolation prize given to these Negroes because they complained about Oscars 2015 snubbing them. So they threw a crumb at these Negroes, and the Negroes pretty much are eating it up, thinking it's some sort of accomplishment, not looking at that bigger picture. And in that bigger picture, they need to see, the truth regarding this liberal and how he views the African American. Because look at the media that this liberal produces regarding this Afro-American Negro. The liberal produces images that degrade this Negro, insult this Negro, and in many cases present a slanted image of this Afro-American Negro. But because it comes from a white source, and a white liberal source at that, they feel that this is a normal humanized image, and it's not a normal humanized image. It is the image of black through a white lens, and they'll go and get somebody like a Shonda Rhimes or a Lee Daniels and tell you, and because they put that black face in front of it, they'll believe that it's a black image. But no, all of this stuff is only being rewarded and presented in the media because, again, It fits the narrative of this white liberal. When you deconstruct the images that are presented and what is being rewarded, it's only there because it fits a narrative. Just like your Straight Out of Compton fit a narrative. And in that narrative, you get the exact same story over and over again. And because the Negro, can't really connect the dots and see that he's getting the same stories presented to him over and over again, and that the same types of images seem to be the only ones that get rewarded over and over again, you can't see how Hollywood does not respect him or appreciate him. All he thinks is, yeah, I got an award, but what did you get an award for? And again, this is why we need to get our own studios, get our own films, and reward ourselves for excellence in film and in television, because we can't continue to go by this standard. Because when you go by this standard, anything that these white liberals put out there is only going to be to benefit them. They don't want to put a positive image of an African American out there. They have no interest in rewarding an African American for playing a humanized role. The only roles they're going to reward, as we see right here, are people who are playing Jezebels, Mammies, Minstrels, Sapphires, Coons, Brutes, and usually these are the type of projects that most of these filmmakers have been making for the last 15 years. And when I hear people say that, this is going to open doors, like when she made in her speech saying this is going to open doors, I know what's coming. And all I have to do is look back at 2002 when Halle Berry won the Oscar. And if you thought that was bad, the debauchery and dysfunction that was presented of this Afro-American woman's image, then this is just going to open up another Pandora's box, which takes this Afro-American woman's image further and deeper into the sewer. And that's what I see coming for this Afro-American Negro regarding their image. And I look at all this media that's being produced featuring this African-American Negro. Most of it is dysfunctional, most of it is debaucherous, and it presents the worst images of African Americans. Yet you'll have your people from the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences talking about how they had so much diversity in this year's Emmys. And I looked at the two women who won Emmys, not just Viola Davis who won an Emmy, but the other woman who won the Emmy for Orange is the New Black. Here you have another black woman playing a prisoner, convict. Again, another negative role. Yet here we have the Academy rewarding African Americans for playing the same roles all the time and then saying it's diversity. And because this Negro, again, cannot think and say, well, where's the diversity? These are the same stereotypes, but they're they're just being put in a brand new box because he can't think. He can't see that, there was an okey doke put on him. And and the whole thing is that because there was an okey doke and he can't see it, he always falls for it. And when you look at this whole Emmy situation, it's just sad. And I'm not trying to throw salt on anybody, but I'm just trying to get you to see the bigger picture regarding Hollywood and how it presents this Afro-American Negro and this Afro-American Negro image. Yeah, they'll give you an award, but it's what they're giving you an award for. And usually, in most cases, when an African American wins an award, it's usually portraying the most degrading images known to man. And what I'd like to see is, if these guys really want to talk diversity, then let's put some more, balanced images out there of African Americans. I have yet to see that in 15 years. I mean, I grew up in the 80s where I saw some fairly balanced pictures of African Americans. I have yet to see a single balanced image of an African American in the last 15 years. It has been nonstop minstrels, and I fear that with this Emmy win, it may be more nonstop minstrels, because many of these African Americans who have made Empire the #1 show in America do not see, what's coming down the road. And what's coming down the road may not be pretty for this Afro-American Negro. That's all I have to say for this video. And comment, rate, and subscribe.